Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. Dad jeans. Dad jeans.
The Bruno movie, underrated, if you ask me.
It is underrated, especially Funky Zeit is a pretty funny name for a German television show.
That's amazing. I was not aware that that was the name of the show. Well, I won't get into personal stories. But we have a friend who edited that, and it just didn't go over as much as the Borat movie, and that's a shame.
Do you think could it have been the part where the penis screams the word Bruno? Seeing a penis actually talk has scarred that left a trench like scar in my brain forever watching that movie.
I'll be honest, I don't remember that part, but I saw early screening, so it's possible that
oh yeah,
I did not see the screaming penis.
They're showing this like Middle American focus group the first cut of the Bruno television show, and the end of the opening sequence is a penis swinging around, and then it swings up, and the little urethra yells Bruno.
That's amazing. Maybe I have to watch it again. I just remember the terrorist baby photos.
Oh dear God!
And I was just wondering the other day. By the way, I'm Jeffrey Dinsmore, and this is Dad Jeans.
And I'm Brendan Hughes, also Dad Jeans. Long time.
Do you like that? I feel like I spring that on you every week now. That's
right. Suddenly the show's starting.
Boom! Yeah, you gotta be hot. You gotta be in.
I gotta be ready. I have to have my I have to my dunce cap on.
But I was watching. I rewatched an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia the other day.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering if that, like, I hate people who are like, irony is dead, like people who make proclamations. That's a spite club right there. People who make proclamations.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if that humor, that mode of humor is dead. The white guy who's winkingly, what's the word I'm looking for? Racist or winkingly inappropriate, I guess. Like, is that still something that is funny because we're just like, you know what, there really is like white supremacy behind your ability to do that.
Oh, right. Yes. I think this is I've been thinking about this all night long because this episode will come out in 5 days, and by then, God knows what will have happened.
Yes.
However,
like, wait, literally all night you've been thinking about this?
All night
this
long.
Something
I've been thinking about this.
Last night you were thinking about?
Last night I was thinking about this exact issue.
I'm in your head. Wow. Okay.
Specifically, as it has to do with the fact that we have a middling, mediocre improv comedian as commander-in-chief, and he will be in some room and want to be kind of the Sarah Silverman of the room and say the kind of like the shocking thing and see if anyone laughs, and it gets him into a lot of trouble. So this stuff he said about the veterans, which feels like, ooh, is this finally the thing? Although I've had that feeling so many times. Except maybe this is the one that will do him in. Although I refuse to believe any of that anymore because he has those crypto-fascist zombies following him around. But nonetheless, he has made being funny very offensive. Like anything fun, because he himself is a funny person. And he gets up in front of the crowd and he just works the crowd. He's
a guy who maybe we should rephrase. Like, is he funny or is he comedic?
Right.
Maybe that's more like, yes, I think you're right. He's intentionally trying to be funny, but it's not funny. But sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
I'm splitting hairs. Okay.
No, that's an important hair to split too, because if he takes funny from us and we all just have to be extremely serious, sober humans, that is the biggest and worst offense of all, because
so true.
Funniness has been, for me, I mean, Jesus Christ, it's everything. It's my crutch. It's my defense mechanism, and this motherfucker has made it so that even being funny is now distasteful.
Yes, it's so true. It's I am with you on that, because it has gotten me very far through life, and it's also funny is the province of the underdog, right? Like, this guy was born on third base, and like whatever they say, hit a triple or whatever, but he has taken humor. He's the bully's own humor now, and It was never that way. The right wing were not funny. There was nothing funny about the right wing, and that was what sort of made us. That's what set us apart. But now you're right. Like that. Now they've taken that and they've evilized it. They've like undermined what is actually funny and turned it into their own asshole brand of funny.
Yeah. Yes.
And now you can't even be ironically asshole funny.
And in Hollywood movies throughout history, the bullies were always too dumb to be funny. And if they did make jokes, they were terrible. And so we have also been fed a line of bullshit by the grand narrative of the United States that that it is our province. But it is such a mind fuck that he can get up in front of a crowd and get them laughing like that. You know what I mean? Or get them riled up with what his version of whatever you'd call his wit.
You're so true. And before we go too far, should we segue into our first segment? Because that seems like basically you're teeing up our very first segment here.
I can't help it. Yes, that's great. I seem to be teeing things up lately.
We've just gotten good. That's the problem. We're too good. We have to go conquer another media.
I think I know mini golf.
Yes, that's next. Okay, let's do our first segment. Advise me, bro.
Advise me, bro. Cause I just gotta know. I got a motherfucking problem and you gotta show. Advise me, bro.
You have a question I see in the document, our shared document.
Yes, I do have a question. I have a question for you, Jeffrey. There's something that's been bothering me quite a bit. So Emily and I are very free with our mouths in our house. We'll say, who knows what we'll say. We had neighbors so we live on a street that is right now really wonderfully diverse. We have there are Asian families, there are Hispanic families, there are black families, and there are white families, all on our one little block, and it's awesome.
All manner of families.
Manner of families. It's great.
Are there any single people?
Yes, there's some young single women that live in a house a ways down. I think they're like post college or something like that.
You're acting as if you don't know exactly where their house is.
Only because of Halloween. So
okay.
So what happened? Oh, so one of these. So when we first moved in, across the street, there was this house that had these women who were. I'm not sure if lesbian is the preferred nomenclature anymore, but lesbian. And that doesn't matter. Oh, I brought that up, but it doesn't really matter. But they're really interesting. They were like huge Dodger fans, and they drove Broncos, and they were really kind of like I don't know. I'm in sort of to describe. Describing anyone is always in like weird territory. Anyway, the point
Dodger
is
Dykes. Is that what you're describing? Dodger Dykes? Is that a thing?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. It's sort of like if you've ever been on Christopher Street and 4th Street. It doesn't matter. If you're
sketchy territory here, brother.
Can we start this episode over again?
Yeah. Hi, we're dad jeans. We're not stereotype jeans.
Jesus Christ. I know.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm just trying to be specific to that. They were
people will forgive us. We're white.
I loved this. They had a whole crowd, and they sat on their porch at all hours of the day, and had friends coming over all the time. And they they always had like the big game on, whatever the big game was. There were jocks basically. They were giant jocks, and they had like a frat house across the street, and they laughed and laughed, huge like eruptions of laughter all day, across the street. And they were great, and they were relatively friendly, and we would see them in their Bronco like going by, and we would wave, they wave, and nice on Halloween. So what happened? Oh, they left. They moved. Their family had been here for generations, and they sold their house. And we went over and we're like, ooh, wow, like a flipper bought it and flipped the fuck out of it. And it's it's a nice house. And so it's all very fancy. It was all very fancy. And we were like, oh my God, how fast can we sell our house and get this house? You know what I mean? But we're freelancers, and all companies that hire freelancers give you W-2s now. So we're stuck in this house for the rest of our lives because fuck you, American economy.
Stuck everywhere. Thank you, Donald Trump. Yep. Everyone's stuck where they are.
Yep. So thank you, underwriters, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So the people that moved into the house are a white yuppie couple, and the first thing they did was build a giant fence.
Yes, of course they did.
And I have never met them. I have barely ever seen them, and that house basically died.
Oh man, the spirit of the house died.
The laughing, Dodger-loving jocks who were sitting, and I don't know what their sexual orientation was, who were sitting on that porch, were awesome and just like filled the block with laughter. And then these motherfuckers, leave out the back of their house into their alley and drive away. You know what I mean? So I don't know anything about them other than that they're white and that they suck. And
maybe they're the Munsters.
They could maybe they were only active at night. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the sunlight burns them. So and they have to look into our very Alabama yard, like our yard. Meanwhile, so if there's one consolation, is that my house is incredibly ugly because we have not touched the outside of it yet. And even though we've lived here for 5 years, and the house is full of Oscar's shit. You know, I mean, sorry, the yard is full of Oscar's shit. So we are the Alabama house, and I never pictured myself this way, but here we are. There's like books on the porch that we've been meaning to donate since the beginning of the pandemic, but no one's taken donations. We are a mess, and their gorgeous living room looks right down into our Bama yard. So
good.
Anyway,
that's their view.
Yeah, exactly. So the other day, so this is all leading to this advise me, bro. The other day, we're sitting around, and Oscar. We're talking about something about, one of the neighbors, something. There was some disturbance on the street and maybe it involved one of the neighbors somehow or whatever. And Oscar said something to the effect of, maybe it was the assholes with the fence.
Wait, Oscar said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
And so
and he's he should be a co-host of Dad Jeans.
Yes, seriously, yeah, exactly. Because we're free with our, we don't give a shit about words or whatever. We swear. No. He tends not to.
You were born on a commune, for Christ's sake.
Born on a commune, and like being precious about. There's words. So if you say me, like don't say bad words because there are words that are bad. There's one word that's bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in any case, all that. He said that, and it sort of stopped me short. And I was like, ooh. At first, I was like, yeah. But then I was like, oh, wait. Oh. Actually, you're 7. I forgot about that. So,
right.
And then, he'll say, and sometimes he'll be, anytime Donald Trump comes on the air, this is fine. He'll be like, that idiot. You know what I mean? Great.
Oh, yeah.
That's of course, because Donald Trump is an idiot. That's just fact.
Sure.
But then he'll be like, Republicans are such idiots, and gets really mad about all Republicans. And then I was like, fuck. I think I'm doing, I'm all angry and say shit. And I'm Irish, and Irish people categorize in their heads. That's why we have Sean Hannity, that fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like, we categorize other people. And so, because we categorize everything. And so, unless an Irish person is like smart and with it, they'll become prejudiced in a major way because of this gene that makes us put things into buckets. Because of, I don't know, centuries of British oppression or something about whatever those people did to us makes us apt to either become Sean Hannity's and Bill O'Reilly's, or I like to think me, where I live on the coast and I'm elite.
Sure. Well, no, but you're every day out there. You're saying you have to say as a survival mechanism: is this guy Protestant or Catholic?
Oh,
am I going to get sin fine today or whatever one does?
Right.
Like, you gotta. So that makes sense. You have to categorize.
Yeah. Who can you trust? No one. Of those who you can't trust, you have to categorize them too. They're the redheads. I'm talking Ireland now. And the ones with freckles on their nose, etc. Think about people with freckles on their noses.
Yeah, exactly. Well, freckles on their nose with their index finger slightly smaller than their middle finger. These people,
don't lend money to them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I have been so free that, like, I picture other hippie parents being like, Oscar, we love everybody. And I picture other, like, awesome hippie carpenters I've known who are like, hey, man, who you can picture being friends with Republicans and not giving a shit and laughing all night with, like, with Trump voters in a biker bar in North Platte, Nebraska. And I think that's probably the virtue, because Trump will finally be dead, God willing, one day. And we can then be like, back to our lives, and it'll still be this country we all have to share somehow. So how in the fudge do I pull it back so that he doesn't become a fucking asshole like his dad?
Oh boy.
Yeah, right? I got a new boy. That got a new boy. That got 2 boys.
I mean, I do like I catch myself doing exactly the same thing with my kids in that like I have all of these heart to hearts. I was just yesterday I was driving with Hazel somewhere and they mentioned something about Trump on the radio and and she'd be like, oh, what did she say? It was something like childlike and innocent and trusting. Like or something about like, but like Donald Trump must have like his mom and dad must not have treated him well for him to be like this or something like that.
That's beautiful.
And I was just like, listen to me, Hazel. There are people in this world called sociopaths, and they were born without the ability to empathize. Like I just go on this tangent, and I do fear that I'm like setting her up for this view that like the other side are monsters and don't ever consider other people's points of view or something to that effect. But but okay, this is a multifaceted issue, and I'm glad you brought it up. The other point is that this is a uniquely liberal democratic issue because you will never catch a Republican saying, you know, maybe we should consider what the other side has to say. You know, maybe there are some good people on the other side. Like it's the danger of being what's the opposite of binary? Multinary? Is there
monary? Is that a word?
No, it wouldn't be monary.
Monocultural? Like, monosyllabic?
No, because binary is only two, but is there a nary that's several?
A canary.
Several
canary.
Yeah, it's the problem with being a canary fighting against a binary system in which, you know, we have shades of gray, we have nuance, and they are good or evil. And so we'll always just be evil to them. Mm-hmm. But then we have to like be the bigger person and figure out what it is that, you know, find the way in which they are salvageable, I guess, which is Christianity. That's the Christian view. And why do they own Christianity?
Right. And
that's
we aren't
what I
the
don't
Christians.
get either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have to do that for on behalf of the Christians at the Christians.
Yes, the atheists are out here being Christians on behalf of the Christians.
Yes, exactly. Atheists are the one who are like,
let's not
litter, and let's. What if there was justice? And the Christians are the one who are like, eat the handicapped. I don't get it.
I don't. It makes no sense. It is so. I just feel like, I mean, and that's the gaslighting of this country, and that like it's just projection is what is the dominant ideology.
Projection is the dominant ideology.
Like that is just like we're just being projected onto all the time, and the people who are the actual monsters are getting off scot-free because the other side who isn't doing this projection is like, look, see, this is what they are, and then the other side is like, look, see, this is what they are,
right?
Like,
and then we
and one of those sides is right, the other side is wrong.
We're too polite, so we'll be like, oh, maybe it is us.
Yeah. Yes.
We're way too polite.
That's exactly. That's what gaslighting is. Like, okay, well, let's consider their point of view when they're like, they never consider our point of view. I don't know, but have we strayed from your actual question?
Well, the parenting aspect of this is I don't want to jade the kid. You know, I don't want him to feel as jaded as I feel. I want him to have the opportunity to be able to see good in things that I have already condemned.
Okay.
But I don't know how to contextualize that for him because I feel a little jaded, a little cynical about the American economy and about the American experiment and et cetera. And so I want him to. I just want him to do well and see good. I visited Simon's Rock College. I was thinking about going there. Do you remember that place?
No.
They had an unfortunate shooting in the 90s, but it's a place where you can actually go to start college after 10th grade of high school. They have this weird thing where they can take you after 10th grade. They take the disaffected kids after 10th grade and just put them right into college.
Okay.
It's this weird thing. And so you get your high school diploma and college diploma all at the same time somehow or something like that. Anyway, and it was filled with these like rejects and weirdos and awesome kids who are normal or not normal. I'm sorry. They were not normal, but they were happy seeming and well adjusted.
Uh-huh.
And despite having been rejects and weirdos, in their own high school. And so then
that's community. That's the joy of community that you only find in college.
Aha. That's what it is.
Sorry.
I didn't have.
Go ahead.
No, but that's it. I think that's it. I did not have the traditional high school, college experience. I went to like a commuter school, and it was like plumbers and nuns who were my classmates, and who were all paying their own way through. So I didn't have that. So you just saying that makes me feel better, because maybe no matter how I corrupt this child, he'll find a community of LMPs, like-minded people.
Wait, say that last part again.
Well, I don't want to corrupt him. I don't want him to feel jaded or cynical like me, because he's way too young to feel those emotions.
Yeah.
Yet I'm trying to make myself feel better that maybe if I do, he will wind up well adjusted anyway, even if I make him this sort of like weirdo a la Simon's Rock students, and he will become
right.
He'll find others like him. It'll be like us. We met at that barbecue, and we were we're jaded and cynical, semi-funny human beings, and so maybe he'll just find his Jeff Dinsmore.
Oh, I think that's lovely. The danger, though, is that when they reach the stage of the rebellion stage, that they go down the alt-right path, and they're like, my dad has always told me all this stuff, and now I'm seeing some stuff that contradicts what my dad said, and fuck my dad.
Oh, dear God.
I'm gonna start worshiping Pepe or whatever the
holy shit. Yeah,
whatever
and
they
he
do.
Alex P. Keaton's us.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I'm gonna be a proud boy. Proud boys.
Oh, so then no screen for him forever. I was thinking we'd loosen up at 10. Nope, we loosen up at 40.
Oh, if you think that screen is going to be like a thing in 10 years, you're sorely mistaken, my friend. That's going to be beamed to him on the street corner.
Fuck. Right. Through his retina board or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's just going to be, he's just going to be projecting it from out of his nose or something.
Fuck.
Onto his eyeballs. But okay. So it's an interesting dilemma, because you also don't want to, it's like, what do you become, what are you open-minded about and what are you not open-minded about? Like, in order to be a decent human being, like, you don't ever want to like say, well, we should consider maybe whites are the superior race. Like, there are some people who believe this, like maybe we should think about where they're coming from.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right. Yeah.
Like we don't want to go down that road. Like, there are some things that are just right. And we just have to teach them. We have to teach our children values. And is being a Democrat, is being a liberal, is not being a Trumper, a Republican, is that a value now? Like, is that just a straight up moral question?
Wow. I mean, to me it is.
It seems like it is. And I don't want to, like, I in some ways, I have libertarian friends who are very like, like both sides, like Democrats suck too. But then I'm like, but then Democrats say Democrats suck too. So it's like,
right.
It's like we can see the flaws around us in our own party.
Right.
And still, like I rarely hear a Republican say, oh God, this guy, Mitch McConnell, what an asshole. Like, if we could just get him, but every liberal I know is on the fence about Nancy Pelosi.
Sure. Yes. Right. That's true. So we live in the complicated. So the sense I'm getting, what I'm gleaning here is that we actually live in the actual complicated morass of the American experiment. And they're drinking some sort of Kool-Aid where everything's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they're projecting it onto us that we're the sheeple who are following.
That I've never understood.
It's just, okay. I do understand it. And let me tell you, let me break it down for you right now, brother.
Bring it.
People cannot see outside of their own frame.
Uh-huh.
So if you're like a sheeple person who can't fathom that there's any other way to be, then you will assume the people unlike you are doing as you are doing.
Yes.
And you will project that onto them. Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's just all how you frame things, your inability to imagine that there could be a different world out there.
What about me? What about you is driving you? What about me is are you scared is true about you, and therefore
Yes.
it's driving you crazy.
Yes, and that is the heart. That is the heart of republicanism. It is that is why every goddamn homophobic Republican is gay. Like they're just like they're in the closet. It's like it's not even like there's not even a question with some people. Like the whole like anyone who will tell you that conversion therapy is a great way to go is a closeted like gay person. Like that's just that's just you're not going to believe in that shit unless you are so terrified of something inside you that you're unable to accept that you wouldn't push that on someone, you know?
Yep. Exactly.
Like
look at me, I'm fine now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Who that is comfortable with themselves gives a flying fuck if a dude kisses another dude.
Exactly.
Like what? Who? That is the essence of discomfort, right? That is the essence of self-loathing. To have that, to give a shit about that. Who gives a shit? Who cares? Oh, God, sorry, I'm worked up.
So we live, Jeff, you and I we are of a similar age, and we came of age in the 90s when it all kind of made sense. There was the Democratic establishment that was a pain in the ass, and that was neoliberal and unfortunate and not that left, and Bill Clinton was dragging it to the center, and that's where we still live. The Democratic establishment is still way towards the center and infuriating, and fucking Joe Lieberman is like, I want to thank the Lord when he accepted the vice presidential nomination. And we're like, what? And then and so and then but then the Republicans were like Bob Dole, who were like, I think that a rising tide raises all boats or whatever. And so
the marginal tax rate is too high. Like, okay, all right, that's fine.
And the capital gains tax takes jobs. Or, and you're like, okay, I don't agree. And you've read too many Milton Friedman books, and I fucking hate that Milton Friedman was ever born because it created you people. But you read the wrong book, and we're all sharing this country.
Decent, hardworking American fought for the country.
And he's like, well, if you get a job and punch every ticket, check every box, you become a banker, you die happy. You retire to Florida, do what you're told, And you're like, okay, I guess that's one way. You guys can't picture
gum.
Right? Yeah. You can't picture another way of life, and so therefore you're trying to impose that on everyone. Okay, fine. You're a very simple to understand type of Republican Party. But now their tent is so big, they have actual pedophiles and Nazis. Like they were like, they party too hard for the rest of us because they want these fucking unbelievably evil other people in their whole situation. And so we've been sitting here being like, what the fuck, watching the Republicans drag the entire country over the cliff to the right. And that is why I think I guess that's, and I'm sort of like you are sounding the alarm like Cassandra in the Greek myths. What the fuck is wrong? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Oscar witnesses me doing that, and maybe it's equipping him because maybe shit is fucking insane. And it's not going to go back to the 90s. So I think my issue might be I'm lamenting the loss of the simplicity of an actual two-party system versus one fucking like insane asylum and another sort of loose party that's been taken over by centrists.
Sure. Totally. But I also wonder if, and I don't want to go too far down this road because this is a whole other discussion, but that all was steeped in white supremacy to a degree that we could have normal because what we accepted as normal only included a very small segment of the population, right? Like,
yes.
So that's clearly a thing there was still a lot of problems with the fact that we were able to have this polite, pleasant discourse because it meant like a certain percentage of humans in this country were just not in the conversation.
Oh, that's such a good point. And they've been dog whistling. That fucking party's been doing this racist dog whistling since Goldwater, or even before. And he gave away the whole game when he talked about the lower taxes. That's just racism. Everything is just racism. States' rights, racism. Much. He was like, the way we get people to vote is by making them scared of others.
Yeah,
he said in 1960, fucking whatever.
Okay, I would just want to end on this because we have another special guest to get to in a few segments. But the point that you made about Republicans just partying too hard, I read an amazing quote the other day from Luther Campbell. Remember him of the Two Live Crew?
Oh, I was yeah.
AKA Luke Skywalker, who said that he went to a party. He and I forget who else it was. It was like Ice-T or someone like that. Were invited to a party with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in Florida, in the 80s. And he said, I had to get out of there. The shit that they were doing was way too freaky for me.
Oh my God.
The guy who got arrested for getting a blowjob on stage.
and at the word horny was on the brink of death, and he brought it roaring back into society.
Thank God for him. Through subversion of a racist quote from a Stanley Kubrick movie. What a world. What a world we live in.
America.
Shall we move on to our new segment, Daddy Likes to Watch?
Daddy likes to watch. Daddy likes to watch.
I'm very excited about this, especially that lovely theme song.
Yeah, which hasn't been written at the time that we talk, but this is going to be a doozy, Brendan.
Oh, I can. This has been cooking in you like like a pork shoulder.
Exactly. The only reason this segment exists is because I wanted to write this theme song. But okay, so Daddy Likes to Watch. This is there are certain things that our kids are into that we really enjoy ourselves, and this was inspired by a TV show that we got into as a family, and it's meant for kids. And I was like, Daddy likes this. So it's a very disturbing topic for a very wholesome, or a very disturbing name for a very wholesome topic. What is it that our kids are into that we also really like? Brendan, do you have one?
I have you should go first. Do this, and I'll follow up with a short one.
Okay. Well, mine is the Babysitter's Club. So you, Brendan, do not have a daughter.
Is that the Elizabeth Shue movie?
Maybe. I don't. No. Sorry, no. That's Adventures in Babysitting.
Oh, right.
But okay, there was a series of books that was just a little bit past our age. I think we were maybe at the dawn of high school when this series came out, called The Babysitter's Club, from the 80s, I would guess, like early 90s. That was just about it's like a wholesome series about girls who form a babysitter's club, and they have adventures and do tween stuff together. And they recently made this into a TV series on Netflix, which is by the woman who one of the original writers on Glow. And it's just about it's for 9-year-old girls. My daughter just ate it all up, but it was like the most charming, the most lovely TV series. Like, I actually think Oscar would like it quite a bit. I don't think it's not just for girls. Eli loved it.
Is it animated?
No, it's a live action show. But the way they in the second episode, I think one of the babysitters babysits a trans girl, and the way they handle it is probably the most nuanced and nuanced and respectful way I think I have ever seen the issue of transism.
Wow.
Or transphobia. Like I've never seen it handled this delicately and respectfully, and just like it was really, really well done. And it was at that moment that I was just like, wow, this is like such a well done TV show, and it's just so great for kids to just see like this interesting. There's like a lot of like really emotional stuff that goes on between friends of that age that's really well done. And it's just a lovely show, and I really enjoy it, and highly recommend it for any of our friends with older kids. I mean, definitely Oscar would totally get into it. I think my son is 6. He loved it. It's really just a great, well done show. And it's nice to see that as a parent who sees a lot of dumb shit aimed at children.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. I will have to check this out. I think that is wonderful, and especially given that, especially with the trans thing, like kids figure it out really young, and so, and there's nothing related to sexuality with it, and so so it's important, I think, to introduce that sooner than you introduce the idea that gender is fluid as soon as possible,
Yes.
And we try and be careful with that, with Oscar. We're like, well, people usually decide, we see like people send their stupid their gender announcement things.
Yeah.
Or no, their gender reveals.
Oh, gender reveal. Yeah.
Which is all very strange to me in this day and age, because it runs counter to exactly counter to the trans
what
thing.
What is gender now? Yes.
And so but nonetheless, we have some friends who sort of go in that direction, other directions, blah, blah. And we see that we're like, oh yeah, I mean, ultimately the baby will decide what gender it is, or we'll figure out what gender it is. But that's wonderful that, that its anatomy will be that, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It's like a penis reveal party. It's
right.
Essentially,
it's going to have a blue anatomy versus a pink anatomy.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Like that it's just like we are entering a different world in how we view these things. We have a close friend who's a Dad Jeans listener, and love to you, who has a trans son who came out, last year or so, and to the kids it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, she's a boy. She's a boy now. Like that's like it just was not. They were so remarkably unfazed by the concept of being born a different gender.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it was just like it was just like very amazing to see, because like you create their world, right? You create their reality.
Yeah,
like which is exactly what you're doing, Brendan, with your horrible, instilling these horrible notions of hatred for the other
gentrifying high fence neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. You are creating Oscar's reality. And so like if he grows up having those thoughts in his head, like even if he rebels against them,
mm-hmm.
like, Stephen Miller style, like he may, they're still there. That's still like an essence of his reality.
Well, here's how I can win in the end. I am genuinely kind of disgusted by wealth. Genuinely, I find
we know this. Yes.
Yeah. And maybe he'll be really rich.
Oh yeah. That could be very, yeah. Maybe he'll have a really nice fence. That could be the positive.
He makes good neighbors.
Yeah. He'll need one, man. The way we're going in this country. Okay, Brendan, tell me your daddy likes to watch.
Well, we sort of swoop around to all the big franchises. So I started Star Wars really early, and that cost us a year of our lives because he was like 4 3/4 or something like that, and he just became obsessed with Star Wars.
Wow.
And then
he could handle it at that age?
But yeah, I wasn't sure. I felt like, because I was like, they're not bullets, they're lasers, and people don't really die sort of gruesomely necessarily.
No, but the notion of Darth Vader is pretty creepy.
Oh yeah. Oh well, now he's like, well, I'm a villain. He describes himself as a living villain, and he loves Darth Vader, and he always wants to be the bad guy and stuff like that. So that I probably definitely corrupted him in that regard. Like he never wants to be sort of like the good guy who's slaying the dragon. He wants to be the dragon.
Interesting. Okay.
But anyway, we've gone through all the franchises, and lately we landed on Peanuts, which I mean, has been around since we were kids, etc.
Yeah.
And there was that What's that?
The 40s. How old is Peanuts? The 40s, maybe.
I went to the Charles Schulz Museum because he's from Santa Rosa.
Cool.
I want to say 60s is when it started.
I think it's way before that, but
50s?
Go on. You know who would know this is our friend Greg
Feldman.
Greg Feldman.
Oh,
He's a fanatic. But sorry, go ahead.
So, we started checking out the Peanuts recently, and Fucking A, man. Here's the thing about that. Like, the structure is so loose and the jokes are so sort of slow to develop and kind of half-baked, but they're exactly the kind of jokes that a kid his age who is on target and hasn't been desensitized to violence by every fucking billboard with a gun he sees and all that kind of stuff should be enjoying, right? And so it feels so wholesome to sit down to watch like some Peanuts thing with him. And also they're all these old 70s movies and he loves the 70s era Peanuts movies that came out.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I'm watching movies that I remember seeing in the theater in 1980 with him. And they're so amazing. Awesome because they're so different than like the post Animaniacs world where it's just like zippity zappity.
It's
slow. And he rolls on the floor laughing. And so I yesterday showed him the Upper Class Twit of the Year sketch from Monty Python, and he fucking died. He died laughing, and I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Like that was a sweet spot back then. This is not in the spirit of the segment. I'm sorry, Jeff. I racked my brain for a thing kids would be into now. I had a hard look in the mirror, and I was like, "I fucking hate everything. How can I possibly find something?" Right. I tried as hard as I could with this segment over 2 weeks, and I could only come up with something that's been around since we were kids. Jeff, I'm sorry. I totally blew it.
Well, no, that's fine. I mean, maybe I think you're focusing too much maybe on popular culture though. Is like I feel like there's all manner of things that your kid does or is into that they're just like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Like I'm kind of into that. Like popsicle stick craft work could be something where you're like, there's a lot to be done with popsicle sticks actually. That's the beauty of this segment.
Oh, I see. What about Dave Pilkey, like Dogman, the Dogman books? I fucking love the Dogman books.
That's perfect. That's
great.
Great.
Okay, that's my entry then.
Yeah,
I love Dogman.
Okay, see that I can't handle those fucking things. He does Captain Underpants as well, right?
Right. Yeah, Dogman was a spinoff.
I don't know what it is. I think my kids love Captain Underpants. That is like, it just, for some reason, like I can see the cleverness in it, and it's like it has a charm, but there's just like something so juvenile about it that I just can't I can't handle it. I don't know what it is. Why do you like Dogman? What turns you on about it?
Is it Professor Pippy Pee Poopy Pants that you don't like?
Yes, that's definitely does not jive with my sensibilities.
Well, the Dogman one in particular is something that is just, there's so much whimsy to it.
Yeah.
That it makes it the Dogman became a thing because there was a cop that was really dumb and a dog that was really smart. So they sewed the dog's head onto the cop's body after a bomb went off.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking
You just
hilarious.
love that. That tickles you. Yeah.
That tickles me so much because that's the birth of the thing. And then you got Petey and Little Petey is just a cute little, I don't know. He just drives his father crazy and his father's always in jail. There's something about it that's so real, you know what I mean?
And it somehow has that, like that thing that Aqua Teen Hunger Force used to do, where it was just like there wasn't really any, like they weren't like uncovering any giant plots or anything, right? They were just like kind of being.
Yeah.
But like then there'd be like some B story about like a criminal that they have to stop, but it's like basically more about the asides.
Oh, is that Meatwad and French Fry?
Yeah. Is that kind of the Dogman essence? Like,
I think
the sense I get.
It's so far out on it's the thing of the personal is the universal, where the more very deeply specific and personal it is, the more genuine like universal appeal it will have. Because like if you're like, I'm going to do the thing that only I and my very close friends would even understand, then weirdly everyone loves it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'll give that to you. For some reason, it like, I don't know. For some reason, those things turn me off. And maybe it's the like sheer popularity of them. Like if it was some weird thing that I discovered and only I was the one who knew about Dogman, I might be like, you've got to hear about this Dogman. But it's like so ubiquitously popular amongst kids, like these books.
Oh yeah,
that I just like, I'm just like, come on with this guy. And it's also like the genre. There's like a lot of books in that genre now that are kind of comic books and kind of books. And I kind of miss, it's like hard. It's been hard trying to get Hazel into just like reading straight books with no pictures.
Oh, right.
But I love comic books too. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a snob.
Has she done Harry Potter yet?
She has, yes. She wants to do her, and she's very similar to Oscar. Maybe they would be the best of friends if they were to hang together, because she loves she wants to do a Slytherin room. She's like, she identifies with the villains.
Yes. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And let me go back to Peanuts. You're preaching to the converted on that. Like, I've always just adored the Peanuts, and there's something about that world that he created that it can end with Charlie Brown saying "good grief," and I will laugh. Like, it's just like the same. It's just like the whole whole like archetypes that he's created in this comic are so good and strong that like they barely even need a punchline for you to be like, good grief.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Know? There almost aren't punchlines. There's just sad, frustrating situations that are somehow funny.
Yes, totally. And also like they often end with like a very profound statement, like Lucy will be like, the only thing you have to fear is your inner monologue,
I spent this week, I spent all day, one day, listening just to Vince Guaraldi music because of this whole thing. And awesome. It's so excellent. Like, in the use of jazz and the way it just feels so timeless. Piano jazz, like you would think it's for elevators. Vince Guaraldi was a fucking madman genius, and also it's like it brings so much emotion into it. That grace note of Vince Guaraldi trio alone it just makes it soar. It's gorgeous. It's all this like contrast all over the place.
Yeah. No, the slowness is something very nice. We have also been watching recently. There's a new Muppet show on Disney Plus, which I find quite charming. I find the Muppets. I mean, the Muppets are chaotic. They're not slow, but they're also not fast in today's sense. Where it's like there is something very charming, I think, about those archetypes that exist in that world, and they've done it really well with this new show. So. That's highly recommended.
Oh, so Disney wrested the Muppets away from HBO.
Well, so I don't know what I don't understand the licensing there. Like, there's also a Fraggle show on Apple Plus, I think. Like, yeah, and then Sesame Street is on HBO. I don't know. They've got a lot of licensing situations.
Hopefully they're raking it in.
There.
Wait, were the Fraggles?
I think Disney owns the Muppets.
And were the Fraggles part of the Muppet universe? I was always at that Fraggle Rock. I don't know. They're adjacent. I was there.
Adjacent.
I watched Fraggle Rock quite a bit, and now I live right near Fraggle Rock. But I never got into it. Did you?
I didn't. It was. We were too old, I think. Yeah. It was like I feel like it was. It seemed fine. It's not the Muppets. Nothing's the Muppets. Shall we move on to what's our timeline for our guest? Do we need to call him directly
what time
at
is it
8:30?
now?
It is 8:26.
Okay, we should go to his. Well,
we can go, we can do. I think we can do
challenge you quick.
Yeah, the next segment is very quick.
Okay.
I do you and you do me. I challenge thee. I challenge thee. I challenge thee. I challenge.
This segment is entitled "I Challenge Thee." This is another new segment in which we set each other up with challenges. Now, Brendan, you are a notorious hater of the band XTC.
I certainly am.
Am I wrong here?
You are not wrong. I can't.
For some reason,
them.
they just hit you wrong.
Ooh.
And I don't believe. I believe that's because you have not spent like enough time with them. I feel like you've maybe heard Skylarking, and you're like, that's all they have to offer.
Fucking Skylarking.
But this is a band. This is a band that, to me, they're up there with REM or Elvis Costello, where I can put on any of their albums and groove to it.
Even Goodbye Cruel World. We've talked about this before.
Oh, Goodbye Cruel World has some. I'm not returning to it a lot, but it's got some bangers. Production really is the problem with that album. That could have been a much better jam. But no, XTC has just like, they've got from their very first album to me, like they change it up a lot. They've got like, it's very diverse. Like, I think the only thing you react to is his voice. Like, for some reason, that's like you talk about him being a crooner, or one of the two. There's two singers, and they kind of have similar voices.
Yeah.
But I think you will get past that, and you will realize like what mad geniuses they are, and I feel like it'll be right up your alley if it hits you on the right nerve.
Oranges and Lemons.
So I challenge thee. Yes, I challenge thee to listen to the album that got me into XTC, which is Oranges and Lemons.
Okay.
This came out when I was maybe in 8th grade, and I was one of the alternative kids at our school.
Nice.
There were very few of us, and John Zengraff was into Oranges and Lemons, and for some reason he called it Oranges and Lemoons. And he was always like, "Are you going to listen to Oranges and Lemoons? Is today the day that we listen to Oranges and Lemoons?" And
Lemoons.
I don't know why. Yeah, he just. I have weird friends and I love them and I miss them, but yeah. And so I picked it up and I was just like, "Holy motherfucker, this is the jam!" And since then, I've been into XTC. I only got really into them like a couple years ago. I like illegally stole their entire catalog, and I was like, "Wow, this is a catalog band. This is not just a one album, one hit wonder band. This is the kind of band that you live and you grow with."
Really?
So I challenge thee.
Okay.
XTC's Oranges and Lemoons.
Oranges and Lemoons. I will do this. They came on to like VH1 with their Dear God video, and I was like, okay, all right, it's all this message rock.
Yeah, you have an incorrect assumption of what they are. So
okay.
This challenge, and I'll accept. Let me just say. I challenge thee. We have to accept the results of the challenge. If you come back and you're like, it's garbage, I didn't enjoy a second of it, then it's that you've taken the challenge, my friend. That's all I'm asking. You don't need to come out the other end a changed man.
Okay. Although I'm very gullible, so I might.
You might, and then you'll be like, okay, what else can I listen to? Okay, you're right, I gave them a bad rap. Or you might be like, nope, I gave them the correct rap. That was the rap they deserved.
Okay, I accept your challenge.
Okay, do you have a challenge for me?
I do, although again, I was sort of struck with like, what does Jeffrey hate? I think I'm the one with all the vinegar in this relationship.
I like a lot.
He likes a lot of shit, and he's got good advice. You're that hippie I want Oscar to turn into.
Oh, thanks, bro.
You're welcome.
Thanks, homie.
I don't care for hippies, but you'll do.
Yeah, I'm the decent hippie. I'm the Serpico of our of our relationship.
This is my life, you fuck.
Oh, he's so good.
He's so good. Yeah. And also unacknowledged in the movie Serpico is all his outfits. Like every time he comes
so
in,
groovy.
One time he's like carrying a cane just for fashion.
Yes.
And he puts it in his locker.
Yes. And I read the book Serpico, and that was the real Serpico. He was just a fucking
dandy.
He was just a mensch, or not a mensch, he was just just a guy, a guy. That's all you can say about this guy. He's a guy.
And a bit of a clothes horse and something of a dandy, or at least that's what Al Pacino decided it would be, or the wardrobe department were like, we're going to use the entire truck on this show.
Yeah, no, and he spoke like 7 languages. He was balling the hottest chicks.
Wow.
Oh, this guy.
And so I that's funny. Serpico should come up. I was thinking about Serpico about 3 weeks ago because he moved to Sweden after this was all over.
Yes,
he was like, "Fuck this shit, I'm out," and he's been there since. And when you look at the United States and where it's headed, and you're like, "Wow, we're going to be in a raging civil war in about 54 days." And so how do you, and I thought this to myself, how does one like Serpico move to Sweden?
Right.
How do you just move to Sweden?
Well, we got to be able to get out of the country first, for fuck's sake. This guy's imprisoned us.
Wow, that's convenient. Jeez, they've really got us. This is diabolical. I mean, this is real sinister shit.
Oh yeah, they got us by the short hairs.
We can't even leave, and there's a civil war coming.
Nope. How do you challenge me on something?
You may already like it or already have read it, but the thing that came up to where I was like, everyone should read this book. Obviously, you've read Civil War: Land in Bad Decline by George Saunders.
I have. I've definitely read stories in it. I don't know that I've read the entire thing.
Okay, but
I love him. Good guy.
He's like a quarter pounder with cheese. He's delicious, and everyone knows it. So
tasty treat.
He's a tasty treat. What about The Mezzanine by Nicholson Baker?
Never heard of it.
Yes. Okay, great. Oh, okay. Jeffrey, I challenge you. You would probably like it anyway. I don't want to tell you anything about it though, but I can't wait to talk about it afterwards. But the book. You should try and read it, and don't read it on a Kindle. Like, read it in paperback. Read it on paper.
Oh, jeez, you're setting me up. You've got a real. I'm giving. You have to listen to a 40-minute long album. You're giving me a real challenge. I got to go buy a book.
I will buy it for you. I will have it sent to your house. It is that important to me.
All right, I'll take on that challenge.
It is. I'll need your address off the air.
Oh yeah.
It is. Even though I drive to your house, I've driven to it dozens of times. I have no idea what your address is.
It's fine. Okay.
It is. I won't say anything else. Read The Mezzanine, but I guess it is a kind of book because you yourself have written books. I have not. Oh, I guess whatever. You have written books, and you therefore will come at this differently as a sort of a book project and a thing that this guy did, and a kind of, for lack of a better word, gimmick. But it's not a gimmick, but it is a gimmick. It's a total gimmick, but it's also a gloriously delivered upon gimmick. And so, will you be like, yeah, but it's a gimmick in the end because you've actually undertaken the process of writing a book, or will you be like, holy shit, who is this guy? Where's he been all my life?
Interesting. That's not the book where the guy, the guy jumps into someone else's arms, and for the entire book, he's just being held aloft, and it's all about what happens as he's being held aloft in the guy's arms.
Funny you should say that. No, but it is very similar to that setup.
Okay. Interesting. Because that's I have actually heard about this book before. I've always been curious about it.
It's one escalator ride.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I will absolutely read this.
But the footnotes are such a huge part of it. That's why you have to read it on paper, because in a Kindle will just be like, oh, it's a footnote with a little number on it. But no. Because the footnotes are half the book and like half the experience of the book.
And that's just like your other favorite book, Infinite Jest.
Infinite Jest. Maybe I'll dust that one off. I'll have that one read by next week.
Now, do I have to read this by next week? Is that my challenge?
Take your time, and we'll revisit it when the time comes.
Okay. I want to know about what was the book I read, because that was also recommended by George Saunders, the book about the guy who was just held aloft for an entire book.
Like that Dirty Dancing move where he holds him in the air like Dirty Dancing?
Yeah, something like that. Or a guy's sitting at dinner with his friends, and he gets up to leave, and the other person hugs him, and then he starts floating, and it's like a 200-page novel, and like that's all that happens in the book. And then he like floats over the world, and then that's the end or something like that.
Fantastic.
But George Saunders was like, this is the most amazing book I've ever read. Or, he says that every once in a while. Which, another side note before we call our special guest, George Saunders blurbed, go. Why am I forgetting her name? She was on Saturday Night Live for one season. Jenny Slate. Do you know who Jenny Slate is?
Nope.
She's started as an improv actress. She was on Parks and Rec. She was on, she made a movie called The Obvious Child.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So Jenny Slate, she wrote a book of short stories, and George Saunders blurbed it.
Wow.
He was like Jenny, like he said a very nice thing about this book. And I'm like, wow, is Jenny Slate an incredible writer? Oh, she also created Marcel the Shell. This woman is a multi-hyphenate.
Oh, holy shit.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Our special guest.
For Spike Club.
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Spike Club! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Spike Club! Fuck!
Oh shit, that's clean. That's nice. It's funny because I feel like I see you guys all the time, but I don't actually physically see you. I just hear you. But your guest last week, Michael, kind of mentioned the same thing. It's like, as a listener, you're just kind of like, oh, these are my buddies. I talk to them all the time. But then you realize you don't actually get to talk. Right. You're only talking in your mind. You guys look remarkably healthy, considering we've all been living in cabins in the woods for 6 months.
Yeah.
I take a Centrum when I can.
Yeah, that's what does it. Pediasure.
Centrum, Pediasure, Pedialyte.
Yeah.
And dirt from the garden.
And then every day I exercise my prostate for at least 10 minutes.
You have to. At
guys,
this age, you have to.
I might have talked about this on the air. I can't remember. I stopped eating salt, and I'm peeing like I'm 17 years old. Like I'm 17 years old.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Great question.
I've had a medical adventure over the summer that's been hideous. And it involved lowering my salt intake so that I wouldn't be dizzy. And as a result, I used to have to stand at the toilet, like I'd be standing there waiting, and then Oscar would come, pee entirely, leave. I still haven't started yet, and then finally I pee. You know what I mean? And then it would come out like a little needle, and it would just be like a very thin stream and take forever, and I'd just be like, Jesus Christ, I have a life to get back to. I'm just standing here peeing. But then
now it's on demand.
It's on demand, and it's a fucking fire hose. It's crazy.
Well, that's fantastic. Wait, but is that a urethra a problem?
No, it's a prostate.
It's a prostate problem.
Yeah, that's what reminded me. Because
I didn't know
the
that
prostate,
salt
gets big as we get old.
From salt?
I guess so. Turns out
you had a salty prostate.
I had a salty prostate.
And so now it's just like these glistening braids of just golden wonder.
Yeah, that loud, like it's loud, and the bubbles fill the entire surface of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And so it's like if you were to go into an office or a movie theater and this weren't a pandemic and a bunch of 20-year-olds or teenagers were to pee around you, you would no longer be embarrassed about the weak splishing and splashing, just kind of dribbling forth.
Yes, and
you'd be like, I too am a fire hose of youth.
Yes, au contraire. And I had a friend who used to go to rest stops and take a stall and go like this. And then just like let a little bit out and be like, and then finally let go and be like, oh, really loud.
Have you noticed the comfort that older men take at just making the weirdest noises at the urinal? I feel like anyone under 40 is normal and quiet. And then after 40, there's a little bit, but like I think after 50, there's just guys that are just like, ugh.
No.
And then you hear like a, and you're just like, Jesus, dude, like I'm right here. And you're just at the airport, and he's some guy that's going from like Tucson to Pensacola. He's just like, he does not give a shit about your opinions.
I saw that there's an onion headline that said something like middle-aged man in gym locker room puts on shirt before underpants and then takes forever to put on underpants.
Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah,
it's the exact same guy, and we're all becoming that guy.
Here's my balls, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, why not? Have I told you the first time I went to Wee Spa, which is this Korean spa that we used to frequent in the before days, Mr. Perkins. But the first time I went, it's very like heavily Korean, and I saw this Korean guy standing, like maybe in his 60s, standing at the sink with one leg up, completely naked, one leg up on the sink, blow drying his nuts.
That's a move. That apparently is a thing. Lots of when they get real saggy.
Yeah,
I don't know, and like you stop caring about all other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you just like blow dry your balls for 20 minutes. It must feel great. Like there's no way it doesn't, right?
My grandfather used to bring my brother and I to the gym as a thing, as an activity. He would pick us up and we'd go to the gym with his buddies. And he would.
I don't like where this story's going.
The showers, like all the men in the showers, and so I would like shower with this sort of chorus line of men in their 60s and 70s, and those penises weren't even recognizable as penises. It was I was like, what the fuck are those angry red like curtains of weird meat hanging from these men? It was the most troubling visual I've ever had in my entire life.
There's a slang on Reddit. Occasionally, someone will say like somebody was like dad dicking something else, and like I don't fully understand. Like I kind of understand emotionally what it means. Like literally, I don't get it. Like I don't know what the reference is, but it's I feel like it's a strong image culturally. Somehow everyone has been scarred by seeing old naked men in locker rooms. It's like, that's horrifying.
So have we even introduced you yet?
No.
We've been having a conversation for 10 minutes.
Medias
This is
res.
our good This is our good friend Brian L. Perkins, creator of the Compunction Junction theme song.
Oh yeah.
That you all may well know. I feel like we mention you on every episode. Somehow you make your way into every episode.
Well, the fact that we are constantly texting one another,
exactly,
probably explains a lot of that.
A lot comes up, and you hate things as much as we do. So I feel like we've bonded over our hate.
Well, yeah, and I got to say, especially with Brendan. Because Brendan's talked about this a lot, I feel like, especially in the last few episodes, about how when I met him, he was always just like hugging people and smiling, and he was so happy and so excited to see everybody. He seemed like the most positive person that you would ever meet, and then you would go home and feel bad about yourself. You're like, why am I so dark and angry when there's this beautiful man walking around and all he does is lift people up and make them feel good, and I'm just such a rotten piece of shit. And then to listen to this podcast and hear how angry he gets about these small slights, whether it's in traffic or online, or like how furious he is about the Democratic centrists, it made me feel less alone in the universe, because it's like, oh, he's just mad on the inside. And I can't control it, but like we're closer than I thought. So that was exciting.
Yep.
Yeah, although as we've learned in recent weeks, he's like, all that time that we thought he was a lovely person, he's like, I was a fucking garbage dick to everyone. I treated everyone like garbage, and I hate myself for it.
Well, I think I remember the episode where the Facebook friend had contacted you. I feel like that was like did that happen on air?
Yep.
If I'm not incorrect, and that was like I don't know. I don't know what episode it was, but listeners, go back and find it, because it was some deep stuff.
There were a couple of incidents. I feel like there are a couple of incidents where people called you out, privately messaged you on Facebook to be like, you were an asshole. Seems like a regular occurrence to Brendan.
Yeah, I go to Facebook to find out what else I did.
See, that's the problem, Brendan, is when you're nice, you have to find it out on Facebook 20 years later. When you're like me, people just say it with their eyes when they look at you. They're just like, I have fucking disdain for you. I wish you'd shut up. It's just, in some sense, it's easier. Just speaking from the other side. Jeff, you kind of sit in the middle. I feel like when I first met you, it was via the podcast, and you were kind of the voice of reason. Like Brendan would go on his Chaos Muppet tangents, and you would kind of pull him back to earth. But I feel like you're closer to the center. I feel like you were like maybe a little more aware of, and what's the word? I don't know.
Are you trying to say I'm an actualized person?
Yeah, but a little more grounded, maybe. A little more grounded.
Okay. All right. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. In my head, I'm a mess, as we all are, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Well, you also have, I feel like Sarah, she was on, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just saying, hey guys, go check out all these episodes. Last episode, yeah. I don't know that I'd heard Sarah talk before. Maybe she was on one other episode.
Yeah.
But I feel like I learned a lot about parenting from her via you on this podcast. And so it's really exciting when she shows up. She seems so fucking smart, and that must really help you.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. No, it makes my life easier. Yeah, absolutely. I don't have to be as competent because of my wife. Thank God. She gives me free reign to be a garbage person.
Oh,
she seems like the type of person that, like, when you're being shitty, she can tell you you're being shitty in a way that doesn't make you defensive, and that is a special type of human and soul, and not many people have it, but it's like a rare skill where they can tell you something like that, and you're like, fuck, you're right, instead of automatically going claws out and like trying to defend yourself. Like, am I right? I could be wrong.
At times, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. We just had we just had a fight last night. I mean, we're all just monsters to each other at this stage of quarantine, right? Like, we had a fight last night where it was just like, I don't know, the toast was in the toaster or something like that, and she's like, I smell something burning, and I'm like, it's the toast in the toaster, and she's like, well, you should take it out, and I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna take it out, and she's like, why are you screaming at me? And like, just instantly, it erupts into this, like, suddenly. I don't know if you guys have this with your families now, where it's just like you go from 0 to 60 in a millisecond, like.
we were doing great for like 4.5 or 5 months, and I was so proud of us, and I was almost embarrassed telling my friends because, like, I guess my family's kind of cool, you know. But now it is just like everyone, like, we're just really on edge, or like the like our skin is so thin now. It just doesn't take much, and it's just kind of random, but it's just like you get there faster, and it's just like, fuck, I guess this really is affecting all of us in a kind of deep way that I was not acknowledging before.
We always tried with Oscar to do this thing where, like, oh, he's having a big emotion. Emotions are beautiful. Just let it pass through you like a storm front. Everything's fine. But now I can feel it coming, and I'm like, do not be hostile with me right away. Like right away, I jump on him and be like, nope, do not yell at me right now. You know what I mean?
At the risk of getting called of someone, I dropped an F-bomb on one of my kids the other day.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I said, don't fucking yell at me.
Yeah. Yes.
Like a 10-year-old. Like, well, I mean, I cursed at 10, so not like my 10-year-old, but like when I was 10. It was such a childish, it was so embarrassing. And like, you know, we'd talked a lot about it afterwards, but I was like, I'm sorry, but like, you know, I'm under pressure too. I shouldn't have said that. That was not, but like, it was definitely like, it was so childish and stupid. And I was like, I can't believe I just did that. That was... great.
But who among us? I also recently dropped one where Oscar has this thing. He goes like, I'm gonna punch you. It's like he has this thing he says, and so at one point I was like, you know what? I fucking dare you.
Dude, that's like straight up like Texas coach. That's like when I go, why don't you take a shot, Tex? Let's see it. Come on. You got it, Slim? I want to feel it. Let's see if I even notice when you punch me. No? That's what I thought, crybaby. Now get on the line and run some sprints or whatever the hell.
Yeah. The thing is, your child now has become the child that taunts your child on the playground, who you have to like pull aside and be like, you little motherfucker, you ever do that to my kid again? Now you're saying that to your own kid.
Right. We've eliminated the middleman.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let me ask you a question though, like along these lines, like, is that because, like, is this quarantine really just pulling off this yuppie facade that we all have of like caring and like, you know, we pay, you know, we pay more attention to our children and we're more in touch with our feelings today, like this illusion that we've all been living under because of privilege, our privilege to be able to like take our kids someplace and put them in after school programs and have someone watch them during the day. Like, are we just, is this just real? Is this just what life actually is at heart? Like what we're going through right now. And we're finally having to experience it because of our loss of privilege.
Yes. I think about that all the time because normally what sets me off is I'm trying to concentrate on something. Or I'm working on something and I'm unable, you know, and like what sets me off is like being forced out of it. And the whole thing is just like what people in the world, like over the history of the world, like I'm in the top 0.00001% of people that just got to be like, I'm going to work on my script right now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I'll have my coffee and I'll just delve into the world of my mind and I will find some magical nuggets. And now it's just like, no, man, there's fucking saber-tooth tigers attacking the cave. You know, 3 of the children are being eaten already. Do you save, like, the mother that you can maybe, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we are so, it's absolutely privilege, and it's the privilege being challenged and just being fragile, sad little people that are not used to having to weigh 10 problems at once. You know, is my guess.
Well said.
So,
Brendan's nodding.
Middle-class white Americans, Jesus.
That's us.
Eat us first.
Mm-hmm. Eat us first. Do we have, I feel like we've already gone through like 25 spite clubs, but do we have legitimate spites that we would like to address in this segment in accordance with the theme song?
God, such a good theme song. I still love it every time I hear it.
Oh, thank you. Should we play it again since we've sort of had like a prelude?
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Spy Club! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Spy Club! Fuck!
Brian, do you have like do you have locked and loaded some spites that you have texted us over the times that you can
I have the one I brought up the other day, which is still pretty relevant. Which I can, yeah. I mean, so this is kind of a testament. I think we were talking about privilege. Is like I have been unable to get as much work done because I'm a little obsessed with checking the news, as many of us are, just trying to see like what stage of the apocalypse are we at now. And for many months, I was able to check this impulse, but I have started engaging. This is stupid. I have started engaging with people I disagree with online. And I get so fucking mad when these people, when you're talking about like immigrant children being caged or the rise of violent fascism or secret police disappearing people off the streets, when they use fucking LOL in their response. And it's like, nothing about any of this fucking apocalyptic, horrible Nazi shit should make you laugh. Nothing about this discussion is funny. We are at a crisis moment as a society, and you smug, condescending, ignorant piece of shit do not write fucking LOL in this conversation. Why are you laughing? It makes me so mad.
Yes, it's so anger-inducing. Do you do you think that they are do you think that they think that you're being hyperbolic?
Yes.
Or so they like what? How do these people not see what's happening around us?
I somehow they must be more privileged than me, like seems almost physically impossible.
And are they?
I'm a tall white man in my 40s, like from America, and somehow these guys have like a little more privilege than me. And they're like, no one I know has ever been beaten up by a cop, so clearly you're all lying. All 120 million of you, or however many whatever the half of the country is that actually believes in institutional racism. Like, I don't know. It's just fucking nuts.
And are they saying LOL and that's their entire response? Or are they opening with that?
No, they're like, LOL, that's not what Bolton said. And it's like, why are you trusting Bolton? Like, how is he your source for accurate information? Like I've got like 10 news sources that say one thing. You've got like one, proto-Nazi, secret Nazi, in the closet fascist. or whoever it is, like, but yeah, so it's usually like, LOL, William Barr totally said this and he's great. And you're just like,
right.
Is he?
And are these
seems like he's a criminal.
So
That's
I
kind of
find
what it seems like.
My group of antagonists on Facebook or wherever, social media, like it kind of breaks down into three groups. One of which I would say are the like MAGA Trumpers who are just in la la land. And it's like, I can't take those guys too personally. They're just like, off in the clouds somewhere. Like Q said that Jesus was going to inject red dye number 19 into the water source so that we'd all like glow and they could shoot us from space or whatever. Like,
right. We turn
whatever
into
they're
gay
into.
frogs and then they explode us with Ronald Reagan's Star Wars program, whatever it is.
Right. Exactly. So there's that group, which it's hard to take them too seriously. And then there's the two groups that really just get under my skin. One of which is libertarians who are just like, everything is like, they're clearly the only thing that they care about is white supremacy. Like that's sort of the impetus behind all of their thoughts about everything.
They're teenagers they don't want to share. Like the whole libertarian philosophy is basically like, I don't want to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a child who thinks that like they have done the same amount of work as the parent and they're like, it's my house too. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
Like,
I don't want to share, and I deserve and the reason I have everything is because of me.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah. So there's that. And then there's the edgy liberals who are just never fucking satisfied with anything. And those are like, they're the ones who make me the most fucking infuriated, where they're just like these blanket, like, well, why doesn't Biden, do X? Like, why it would just be, like,
why doesn't he reject the cash economy entirely? It's like, well,
yeah, exactly.
Does does that seem like that would work? Do you think a man who's like, money, no more money, all barter system, all communist cooperative barters. You're
right.
Like,
if he said it, then that's the first step.
Right.
Like if he just came out and was open about it, like that's how you get things done. Like you're just like, fuck, come on. Cause they're the most privileged of all, right?
Yeah. Hey, Cal, can you shut that? Sorry, Calvin just came. Hey, can you shut the door, buddy?
That is such a contrast to how I had that same moment with Oscar before we started recording. Where it was like, Oscar, Jesus, I told you, get the fuck away from the door. I want to add another group to your list, Jeff, which is and because I've gotten in a couple of dust ups on Facebook this week, and it's making me insane. But it is there's this guy I know who professes to be the ultimate centrist, and he condemns both sides. This is like the subreddit enlightened centrism, where he thinks Democrats and Republicans have just completely gone off the rails, and he's there to be the voice of reason. But it is utter horseshit because he is actually a Republican who is trolling all of his liberal friends and drawing them into these conversations where him and his other these like other, of course, white dudes for whom all of this stuff is just abstract because they're speaking from their privilege. They don't actually have any actual problems, and so they think that the Democrats are being shrill and the Republicans are being misrepresented. And so I was like, Mark, it's time to look in the mirror and realize you're a Republican.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I feel like the kind of two groups that I encounter the most, and like Jeff, I see a lot of what you're talking about, but I feel like the ones that I'm that I'm interacting with are like there's some, and so even some in my extended family who just haven't really experienced. They don't have any friends who are ethnic minorities, who are religious minorities, or who are queer or trans or whatever, and so they just think it's all hyperbolic. They're like, there's no one's really gay bashing. Or whatever. They'd be like, well, we had a black employee at the store once and he was late all the time. So, and you're like, oh boy. You're like, does that one person you met once 30 years ago represent an entire culture? No. And secondly, do you have any idea, like, is public transit in your town good? Mm-hmm. Like I was like, how's he? And they're like, he's the only employee they ever had that took the bus. And it's just like, well, is that maybe not on him? Or, like there's a million things. And it's just like, you can't extrapolate from one person, but literally it's the one like black guy they ever knew.
And the deep cultural history of lateness as a political statement.
Oh God. The whole thing was just like, and like, I get so choked up, like I can't think rationally. And so I can't have a productive conversation. Like I try and then I look like a dick and then I have to like backpedal or whatever, just cause I started being mean. And then the other one is on some of these threads, there's like pretty well-educated conservatives who I think just are really okay with being selfish jackasses. And so they are kind of like just trolling you because they think it's funny because it doesn't affect them. Mm-hmm. And so they're just really smug and condescending. Like, they're like, I could hear, basically they're like, I could what about and gish gallop you all day by just like making you look at this article and then asking you about this and just like, they can keep moving the goalposts, and they've got all the time in the world because they're like retired white men who are just like fucking with liberals online.
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
I definitely have a few of those in my life, and I've had to avoid them. I just can't. I can't even. I have a couple of people on Facebook who I discovered the setting show to everyone except X. And I have like a short list of people where I'm just like, you're not going to see this post. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. And you can take
smart
and take a break from people. Have you taken a break from anyone on Facebook?
There's definitely people I've hidden. Yeah. People I've just axed. Like there's actually one guy who turned out I axed him from my life because during the election he was all that shit. Like it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. And like about 3 or 4 months into Trump, he's like, oh shit, it's that bad. And he's turned around and now I see him on other people's feeds and I'm like, yeah, I fucking agree with this guy all the time. And my, and I'm like, but how do I can't go crawling back to him. I've eliminated him from my friend feed. I can't be like, will you be my friend again?
That's kind of funny. Cause I thought you were going to just like, if I were you, I'd be so vindictive. I'd be like screenshotting the old exchanges and be like, see, you jackass, we were right. And you need to apologize to everyone you know and just travel around the country signing up Democratic voters. Like, that is what you have to do now.
Yeah. No, I should have.
Meanwhile, I'm not helping anyone do anything. Like
No. No, you're sitting there drinking your $10 latte.
That's right.
Brendan, do you have a Spike Club today?
My Spike Club actually was, in a way, touched on very much so by what we talked about in terms of how after 4.5, 5 months, our families are we're all devolving. A friend of mine was telling me about. He was watching a Jane Goodall documentary, and this thing kind of sharks the audience where she's watching, and all the apes are sitting there like considering flowers for a while, and they're just like, "Oh, it's lovely. Have you seen this flower?" And the other ape's like, "Oh, so look at the petal structure. It's wonderful." And they're just sort of sitting there being wonderful creatures that are just like us. And then cut to, and they're all like pounding each other's face in and smearing shit all over each other. You know what I mean? And my friend was like, because the thing is, we're both. They're like us, yes, and we have both of that in us right now. Like we have that darkness of pounding shit-covered fists into each other's faces, and we consider the lilies of the valley. And we cannot be the one without also being the other. And so I guess my Spy Club is the fact that the fucking like shit-pounding darkness is inside of all humans, and it will never leave us, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, it's hard to rise above that. It's inside there.
Well, it's a little bit the myth of progress, right? Like I've been thinking about that too. It's like all of the crap that is happening in our culture right now, you have read about in history books a million times. You know, like, and it just it didn't seem real. You know, like I understood the concept of corruption or the concept of greed, like in a very abstract fashion. But now that it's all real, like when I hear those speeches, like those Democratic speeches that used to feel filled with platitudes and meaningless about like freedom and that mother in, Wisconsin who blah 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 and the factory worker and blah, and like now like I start crying when I hear it. But like before I just used to be like, when are you going to say something real? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of it is this myth of progress that like, oh, we just hadn't seen, like our generation hadn't seen shit get really real in a domestic fashion before. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
No, I think that, yeah, totally. I would agree with that. I have this like thing where I really want to eliminate the future as an aspirational concept.
Yes,
I feel like for our entire lives, especially in advertising, you're constantly like the future of X, or this is where we'll be in the future, and this product will get you there. And it's like the future has proven to be nothing but a fucking disaster. like this idea that we've been moving towards our entire life is like, it's just, we're devolving, we're degenerating. Like, stop looking to the future, man. Look at the fucking present. Like, yeah. How do we make now better?
Go ahead.
In ancient Rome, they had restaurants and mortgages and college, and gladiators did product placements. Nothing has changed.
Fascinating. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, right? It's like progress is not an accomplishment. It's like, it's a job, or it's like work. So it's like, it's never done. And I think a lot of, especially privileged people in this country, were kind of like, oh, we've eliminated racism because I have a dream speech.
Right.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah. We've gone past that moment in history. It's done. Stop talking about it, for God's sakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like we've permanently leveled up in the video game of like culture. And it's like, nope, you're constantly backsliding, always. It's just every day, how do you wake up and like not be a murderous, like shit smearing, like Jane Goodall subject.
Okay, my Spike Club. People with a domestic vision and the wherewithal to see it through. My neighbor, loveliest guy you'll ever meet. He is a professional drummer. So COVID just fucked his year, right? And so all he's doing is he's at home and he's building things and he's making his house better. And this motherfucker is so good at that. Like, he's just like, every day he's got some new thing. He's got some beautiful stone path he's going to build. And he just knows how to do it. He knows where to get the right stones. He knows how like deep he has to dig into the dirt to do it. He's got the right equipment. He's just precise and making his house this beautiful palace. And I'm just like, I'm buying this like horrible, like plastic pool and like plopping it in the backyard and filling it full of water, which becomes like algae, like infected within 2 days. And my kids are just like going into it and like getting skin rashes. And that's
like sepsis.
Yeah, exactly. and I'm just like brain eating fucking organisms growing in this pool, and that's my COVID like home improvement. And this guy's like got a beautiful like gazebo he's building, you know,
a grotto,
brick by brick. Yeah.
Does he have kids?
Nope. Exactly.
There
nope.
you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the time in the world to look into to acquire a taste.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's no time
and then
for
to learn
taste.
how to like operate a bandsaw and like a planer, you know, or whatever. I don't even know the names of tools, but I imagine he has them and he knows how to use them, and that's why.
Totally. And this guy could lose a couple fingers. It doesn't matter. He's like, it's fine. I lost a couple fingers building something today. It's whatever. I got a bunch more.
Tape drumsticks to your stumps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
built
we
an
see
outdoor
Def
tiki
Leppard.
bar, and this is great for now. I can, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what is he building? Like, is it just like garden boxes, or is he actually building like structures? He's like, oh, I just decided to build a soundproofed drum room that is going to be, 10 feet underground where I'll have optimum sound bounce.
No, exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah. No, it's way more than like he's building like, and then we have like our fences caving in. Like we share a fence in the backyard.
And he fixes it for you and makes you look like a dick to your family.
Yes. Yes. Like literally you're asking about garden boxes. Like last week he's like, hey, I got some extra wood. I tore down a part of my roof. Do you guys want me to build you some nice garden boxes for your deck? Like, you motherfucker. You nice, good, competent motherfucker.
And as he's telling you this, like the Trader Joe's Heat and Eat pizza that you punted dinner, like is burning in the oven. It comes out like a charcoal brick. And you're like, I'm sorry, kids. Not only can I not build a fence, but I fucked up dinner again and we're having cereal.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you go over to John's fucking tiki bar and he can make you up something nice.
And Sarah's just like looking at this like competent, even-keeled, just hardworking male, just being like, would he be the optimal caretaker for my children? Like, could I move 20 feet over, have a garden box, and
yeah. 1 week later, they're well behaved. They're like manicured. Like they can do things.
But maybe he's not. Is he good with quips?
Oh, yeah. No, I got him beat there. I'm better at snark.
That's everything.
How else can you get ahead in the 21st century?
It's so true. It's so true.
Dude, that is strong. My neighbor just like built a back house. Like he turned a collapsing shed into a back house, and he hired a contractor, but he told him, he's like, the caveat here is that if you build this for me, you need to allow me to apprentice with you so that I can do this myself next time.
Wow.
And so he took like 3 months off work to build a second house in his backyard, and now he knows how to build houses. And I'm just like, fuck.
Wow. That's great. That's brilliant.
That's impressive. I would learn how to build a house and then forget like the next week.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. You would learn kind of, and then you would try to start, and you would realize after you'd built this piece of shit shanty in your backyard that started burning, you're like, maybe I didn't learn how to do this. And everything's worse than it was before I started.
Kids, we're having a bonfire tonight.
Yep.
We're celebrating daddy's incompetence.
Oh, my God. That is too good. I feel like that's a really good place to end it. Everything's worse than it was before I started.
Yep.
Jeff, you're great. I do not mean to impugn anything about. I'm applying all this reflexively to myself.
Oh no, you're spot on. No, every you did not make a misstatement in that in that entire segment. Well done.
I feel it.
Yeah,
it was a good one.
All right, I'm a piece of shit.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's been great.
Brian, you're a national treasure.
You guys are too. Thank you. I'm so glad you're back on the regs with this. I can't believe I said on the regs. This podcast it's the highlight of my week every time it comes out.
Oh, fantastic! Sake. What a joy. Do you have anything to plug?
No.
I'll plug for you. I wandered over to brianlamontperkins.com or the fuck your website is, and I found your golf commercials in which you star and died laughing. Those things are unbelievably brilliant.
Thank you.
Bap, boop. I just think about that all the time. And you got through some like very important information, just like bling, blang, blam for like the use of the actual product. It was great. If you can go, what is the name of your website?
I believe it's brianlperkins.com, but it's if you love mediocre commercials, you're gonna love brianlperkins.com.
Do a deep dive, everybody, and find the ones that Brian is in, because they are amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Right. Thank you, and good night to everyone.
Good night.